It was this very man with a fierce face and a thick beard who slaughtered 41 people and assaulted 17 others within a year. In court, with a smirk on his face, he said, "You've miscalculated. I clearly killed 38 people, so why only count 35? Not only was he arrogant, but he also demonstrated extreme cruelty in his crimes, committing rape, murder, and robbery without hesitation. There was no evil act he wouldn't dare to commit. Even 70-year-old elderly individuals and 10-month-old babies could not escape his brutality. He set a goal to kill 100 people to showcase his ruthlessness. Surprisingly, he didn't steal or commit petty theft. His motive was simply revenge against perceived social injustice, and for the thrill. He was the infamous mass murderer of Anhui Province, China, Bian Guang. Today, we will discuss this particularly severe serial murder case, serving as a reminder that no matter the circumstances or reasons, one must always abide by the law and never violate it. Bian Guang was born in May 1968 in Bai Miao Village, Baizhuang Town, Linquan County, Anhui Province, China. According to him, he was born in the wrong place, ending up in an impoverished family with no money. Their daily goal was merely to have enough food, and he didn't even dare dream of eating well. When Guang was very young, his parents died of illness, leaving him and his older brother Bian Guang to rely on each other. His brother loved him dearly and dropped out of school early to work and support Guang's education. However, Gao was still a child himself and couldn't earn much money. Soon, Guang had to drop out of school in the 2nd grade. Deprived of parental and educational guidance, the two brothers gradually went astray. Initially, they only stole small things from the village, simply to fill their stomachs. Over time, they drifted further into crime. Gao was the first to join a local criminal organization involved in robbery and murder. Eventually, he was caught and executed, leaving Guang alone. His brother's death didn't awaken him. On the contrary, Guang believed that if the police hadn't caught him, his brother wouldn't have died. At 19, Guang was sentenced to 5 years and 6 months in prison for theft. After his release, he showed no remorse. Less than a year later, he was arrested again for robbery and sentenced to 7 years in prison. This time in prison, Guang began to reflect, not on his crimes, but on the flaws in his criminal methods. During his 7 years behind bars, he thought daily about how to commit crimes more effectively and evade the police. After much contemplation, he decided that eliminating his victims would cover his tracks. He vowed that once released, he would commit major crimes, kill 100 people, steal tens of thousands of yuan, and then escape to start a new life. In early spring 2000, after being released from prison, Guang visited the home of his former cellmate, Chen. There, he met a woman named Wang. Wang was 10 years older than Guang and already had a family and children, yet for some reason, she became infatuated with him. One day, while Wang was taking Guang for a ride on her motorcycle, they had an accident, and Guang injured his back. From that point on, Wang abandoned her husband and children to care for Guang, covering all his medical expenses. After Guang recovered, he openly began an affair with Wang. From then on, wherever Guang went, Wang followed. She became his most trusted accomplice, helping to cover his tracks during his subsequent crimes. Chen, too, was drawn into Guang's dark path, finding himself trapped in a life of crime with no escape. On May 10th, 2001, in the northern part of Sunjiao Town, Zikai County, Henan Province, there was a remote scrap metal collection station beside a highway. A married couple earned their living there by buying and selling scrap materials. In the early hours of that day, 2 figures dug a hole under the back wall of the station and slipped inside. Inside the house, the couple was fast asleep, unaware that 2 intruders stood by their bed. Guang immediately struck the husband's head with a crowbar and then stabbed him in the chest with a knife. The wife woke up, terrified, and pleaded for mercy. Guang didn't kill her immediately, knowing she posed no threat. After forcing her to reveal where the valuables were hidden, the 2 men took turns assaulting her. Only after they were done did they kill her and flee the scene. After committing the gruesome murder, Guang didn't leave the area. Instead, he stayed nearby to observe the situation. When someone discovered the bodies and called the police, Guang pretended to be a bystander, watching how the authorities investigated the crime scene. Unlike others, he closely observed the police's methods, looking for any clues they might have uncovered. Later, he reviewed the details of the crime to identify any mistakes and anticipate the next steps of the investigation. On November 23, 2001, in Miaosha Town, Linquan County, Anhui Province, an annual temple festival was being prepared. An elderly man named Wang and his wife had come from Zhangjai Town a few days earlier to set up a small snack stall, hoping to earn some extra money. At around 1 a.m. on November 24th, a shadowy figure broke into the small metal shack where the elderly couple was sleeping. Before they could react, Guang attacked them with a knife and stole the small amount of cash they had worked so hard to earn. Just a day later, while the police were still investigating the scene in Miaosha, another murder took place in Yangbo Town, Pingyu County. In the early hours of November 26th, Guang broke into a small store near a school and slit the throat of the sleeping husband. Guang told the terrified wife, "Your husband has been cheating with another man's wife. That man hired me to kill your whole family. If you give me money, I'll spare you and your 3 children." "I don't have any money. Please spare us," she begged. No money. Guang's violent nature surfaced. He assaulted the woman and her 12-year-old daughter. Then he threatened, "If you keep saying you don't have money, I'll kill your children first." He grabbed the youngest child and held a knife to the child's throat. In panic, the woman said she had 2,000 wen hidden under a ladder in the courtyard. Guang took the woman and her youngest daughter outside to retrieve the money. Desperately, she tried to speak loudly, hoping to attract the neighbors' attention. This enraged Guang. He immediately killed her and the youngest child. As he returned to finish off the remaining 2 children, the 12-year-old daughter seized the opportunity to escape with her younger brother through a hole in the wall. By morning, she had alerted the police. Shortly after this, Guang committed another triple murder at a scrap metal station in Anhui Province, targeting the Li family. The string of brutal murders drew intense attention from the police across Henan and Anhui provinces. On December 27, 2001, the courtyard of the Linquan County Public Security Bureau was filled with police vehicles. Over 10 criminal investigation teams from cities and counties across Henan and Anhui provinces gathered there to jointly discuss these horrifying cases of robbery and murder. Ultimately, everyone agreed that the methods used in the crimes were similar and decided to consolidate their investigations. While the police were urgently pursuing the investigation, Guang's crimes continued with even more brutal methods. Late at night on January 15, 2002, at a scrap recycling station in Guhuai Town, Pingyu County, Henan Province, Guang struck again. He broke through the wall, sneaked into the house, knocked the victims unconscious with an iron bar, and then slit their throats. When the police examined the crime scene, they found 2 Chinese characters for police, Gong An, and a drawing of a turtle encircled on the female victim's abdomen. This blatant provocation infuriated the police officers, and their superiors directly ordered that no investigator would be allowed to take leave until the case was solved. Anyone found ineffective would be reassigned or dismissed. However, just 2 days later, Guang committed the most horrifying massacre in the series of crimes. On January 17th, in Zhe Lake Village, Shangtai County, Henan Province, another scrap recycling station was attacked. The entire Zhang family, consisting of 8 people, from the elderly to young children, were all brutally murdered. A series of consecutive murders occurred, but there were no leads to follow. When the police investigation reached an impasse, suddenly, the Linquan County Public Security Bureau received crucial news. Tan Yuan, a fugitive member of the Bian Guang, whose brother had been executed, had surfaced after years of hiding. Years earlier, after the 9 main members of the gang had been executed, Tan Yuan managed to escape and hide in Xinjiang. When Tan Yuan was apprehended, the investigators initially did not know he was involved in the recent series of major crimes. They only treated him as a fugitive from earlier cases and began interrogating him accordingly. However, when investigators checked Yuan's shoes, they noticed something unusual. His shoes were size 39, identical to the footprints found at the scene of the Zhang family massacre in Ji Lake Village, Shanghai County. Initially, Yuan stubbornly refused to confess, but as more evidence surfaced, he quickly broke down and admitted to the crimes, revealing his involvement alongside Bian Guang. Through interrogation, investigators learned that Guang was the mastermind behind the series of crimes, with Tan Yuan as his second-in-command. Additional accomplices included Luo Tianshun, Chen, and Guang's wife, Wang. Before providing detailed information, Yuan urgently disclosed Guang's current location to the police. Bian Guang is in Bian village with his wife right now. You need to arrest him immediately. If he escapes, he will kill my entire family. At 4 p.m. that same day, nearly 100 police officers from Linquan County surrounded the entire Bian village. When Guang saw the police approaching, he abandoned his wife and fled on a bicycle. However, he was unaware that hundreds of officers had encircled the village. He was quickly subdued and handcuffed. Based on Yuan's confession, the other 2 criminals, Luo Tianshun and Chen, were also swiftly arrested. This concluded the series of extremely serious robberies, rapes, and murders that had shocked the Henan and Anhui regions. The interrogation of Bian Guang lasted 3 continuous days and nights. Calmly, he detailed his crimes and life story. Guang revealed that he did not commit these crimes for money. He distributed all the stolen money to his accomplices, keeping none for himself. He committed the atrocities purely for pleasure and to avenge his brother, whom he believed had been wrongfully executed by the police. For his crimes of murdering 41 innocent people, severely injuring 6 others, and raping 17 women, including 15 cases of gang rape, while stealing more than 20,000 yuan, Guang alone was responsible for the deaths of 38 people. On October 24, 2003, Guang, Yuan, Tianshun, and Chen were sentenced to death and executed immediately. Wang was also sentenced to 12 years in prison for harboring criminals and failing to report their offenses. What do you think about today's case? Please leave your comments below so we can discuss it together. Don't forget to support us with a like and subscribe to the channel to motivate our team to bring more dramatic cases. And that concludes today's case. Thank you, dear viewers, for watching. Goodbye, and see you next time.